all the gin joints in all the towns in all the world. She walks into mine.
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
There's no crying in baseball!
You talking to me?
I'm gonna make him an offer again.
Wait a minute. You ain't heard nothing yet.
Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
You can't handle the truth!
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Hello, welcome again to the Old School Movie Club podcast. I am joined again by my friend Kevin Levine. Kevin, what you been doing this week?
Hey, everybody. I have been watching a lot of movies again, per usual.
That's usually what you do.
Yep, when I'm not working, I'm watching movies. I watched a little independent thriller film that actually came out of Spain. It's called The Invisible Guest. You can find it on Netflix. I highly recommend it. I rewatched The Sixth Sense for the first time in God knows how many years. Movie still holds up to this day. I don't think it's as shocking of a twist as it used to be. Now that I've seen it multiple times and I can see where the film leads towards the end.
And that's an example of a classic movie that we've both seen, so we probably won't do it on the show unless we get a lot of requests for it.
Yep. I watched a film called Carol, came out a couple of years ago. It was a love story starring Cate Blanchett and Rooney Mara that I highly recommend. I watched a little, very, very not well-known movie called Escape from Tomorrow that was filmed guerrilla style with iPhones and like home video camera kind of technology at the Disney parks here in America.
Yeah.
And it's a really god-awful movie, but I love it. And I'm just completely amazed by the fact that it exists and Disney knows that it exists and doesn't care anymore.
Interesting.
I watched The Grand Budapest Hotel, which was nominated for Best Picture a few years ago. This is the first time I've seen it, and I absolutely loved it. It is one of my favorite comedies of all time now, so I definitely highly recommend that one.
So this has turned into like the since I don't watch actually that many movies, I'm kind of like a noob in this space. This has turned into the Kevin recommends movies for me to watch, and then I don't watch them, or I try to watch them, but then don't have time.
At least you're building up a list of stuff that you know you need to see.
I'm building up a list. And so speaking of things that you need to see, what are you going to go see this weekend? Because I know we're recording this a day early because me and Kevin have conflicting schedules for tomorrow. So we can't do the normal Kevin reviews on new releases on Friday. But Kevin, what are you going to go see this week?
Well, this week I actually watched Rise of the Planet of the Apes and Dawn of the Planet of the Apes for the first time because this weekend we have War for the Planet of the Apes.
See, I'm behind on that series too. I've only seen the first in that reboot.
Yep, so I look forward to watching that one. The other two movies that I'm looking at that are new releases this week, that are wide releases, are The Big Sick, which came out a few weeks ago in a limited release. It's supposed to be like a romantic comedy kind of deal with Kumail Nanjiani, and it's getting some really early Oscar buzz, maybe a Best Picture contender for this coming year.
Ooh, there we go.
And
out of nowhere, I've never even heard of that.
Yeah, and the other one is a little, cheap summer horror movie called Wish Upon that looks really cheesy, really stupid, but kind of fun, like the Final Destination movies.
Speaking of a little cheesy, let's just get right into the movie that we watched this week. And Kevin, I got a little sweeper for you. So let's take a listen to this real quick.
Sharky's got lifeless eyes, black eyes like a doll's eyes. When he comes at you, doesn't seem to be living until he bites you. And those black eyes roll over white, and then... So 1,100 men went in the war. 316 men come out. The Sharks took the rest June the 29th, 1945.
And there's the best scene in the movie. And since I know Kevin probably doesn't hear it because we have some technical difficulties where he can't really hear the thing I'm playing, It's the scene where I already forgot his name. That's Quint. The scene where Quint is talking about the USS Indianapolis and the blacks in the shark's eyes. That's like the best scene in the movie for me. And
easily.
Yeah. So what were your initial thoughts going in, and kind of because I know you saw it in theaters. So did that change your perspective on the movie going in or after watching it?
I mean, seeing it in the theater, it gave me one heck of a movie watching experience, of course. I mean, there were people of all ages, all generations in there watching it. A lot of us seeing it for the first time. Other people might have seen it in theaters when it first came out in 1975, and they're excited to have the chance to see it in theater again, because it's definitely a movie that benefits from seeing it in the theaters. And I know had I watched it at home, I probably would have been distracted with something else and not as focused on the story.
And that's kind of where my movie watching experience for Jaws was. I watched it on my computer, and it just, for me, the story could not keep my attention at all. And I think being in a movie theater would definitely help, because you're like kind of forced to focus in on this. And I didn't think that the special effects were cheap. Like that, I thought the special effects were fine. When the shark is underwater, it looks fine. When he goes above water, yeah, it gets a little rubbery and weird. But overall, for the time, the effects looked fine. The cheesiness for me came from the acting of the movie.
Oh, the acting is not good.
Yeah. And for something like that a lot of people like still really hold dear as like a thriller, it just doesn't, I don't buy it at all. Like, I don't buy the whole killer shark thing.
Yeah, so like going back to the effects real quick, those effects are practical.
Yeah, I know.
So
that's why I don't have a problem with them. I don't really have a problem with the effects.
Right. And this is mostly for viewers, and I'm sure most people know that it's practical as well, but because, computer technology in films wasn't a huge thing yet. But if you just think about like how much time and effort it took to make the shark and some of the other effects, and the amount of takes that you have to do with that, over and over and over again to make sure it comes out right. Like, I'm amazed by that. It still looks kind of cheesy now because we're used to the CGI and other technology that we've had for several years. So going back and looking at something that's now 42 years old looks kind of silly. But at the time, you and I both acknowledged that it was groundbreaking.
But again, the effects is not what did it for me. It's like the absolute overacting of the movie. It's like, I thought the best character in the movie was Quint, because I thought even like his caricature of like a hardened sailor was still the most believable thing in the movie. Beside, the main character, the sheriff, his like fear of like, fear for his kids and fear for the town and all the other beachgoers is still believable to me, but
right.
Everything else kind of fell short for me.
Yeah, and for me, I'd say again, I agree, none of the acting was amazing or anything. And it wasn't meant to be. It's, it was kind of the original summer blockbuster, so it was more meant to just kind of wow the crowd and look really awesome. And, it was a great blockbuster, and it got nominated for Best Picture that year as well. Didn't win because it didn't deserve it. But if we're looking at characters and actors, I think my favorite was Matt Hooper, played by Richard Dreyfuss.
Yeah, the main trio of characters is the strong point in the movie. And I guess like being a little bit hard on the acting, because those three characters do actually have pretty good acting skills in the movie. It's like none of their lines are like super like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they just said that.
They're not the mayor.
Yeah, they're not the mayor. They're not like the woman that loses her child and walks up to the sheriff and slaps him in the face and tells him all about how he let her child die, which he did. And that should have been much more of like a weighted scene, but it's just like, okay, moving on.
She slapped him in the face, walked away, and he was like, it happened.
Exactly. What were some of the bright points of the movie for you? Like the highs?
The score.
John Williams.
Yeah, it's old school traditional John Williams. He's always great. So it was easily the best thing about the film. If you take that score out and put in any other old regular generic summer blockbuster kind of score, you're not going to have the same effect as you do.
No,
with
that
legend like John Williams.
And that like score has become like so recognizable to everybody. Like if you were to play, say like last week we had The Godfather. So if you were to play The Godfather's music, even though the score is amazing and it fits the movie perfectly, you probably wouldn't be able to like just go up to any person and be like, "What movie is this from?" But when you have that dun-dun,
Exactly.
that's exact. Like everyone knows that's from Jaws. That is a Jaws score, and it does fit the whole foreboding theme very, very well.
Yeah. And then so the other categories besides score that Jaws actually won Academy Awards for were sound and film editing. So like it won on music and it won on technical awards.
Which is a very technical for its time movie, so that makes sense.
So that's perfectly fine. The editing in that movie is great. And the sound effects, I don't know how they did the sound effects, if they used Foley artists or what else. The sound was perfect.
Yeah, I guess I didn't like going into the movie. I wasn't really paying attention to like the specific sound effects and stuff, so it didn't really stand out to me. But I guess that's like what you want it to do. There's nothing that like kind of throws you out of the movie.
And again, that was probably a benefit that I had seeing it in the theater.
Yeah.
Minus the fact that I had Grandma's book club sitting behind me yelling about, how different characters might have been attractive or that it was the most terrifying thing they've ever seen. They wouldn't shut up. They wouldn't shut up throughout most of the movie.
So when Jaws was first released, what was it categorized as? Was it just summer blockbuster thriller? Or was it supposed to be a horror film?
If I remember correctly, it was the first wide-released summer blockbuster that people could go see anywhere in the country. And so it meant to be groundbreaking in that sense, in that it was a big, iconic movie that everybody could go see. Everybody could talk about it rather than just, only people in Los Angeles or New York got to see it, and everyone else is kind of, in the unknown about it. But yeah. I think it was going for that whole, we just want to be the first movie that everybody can see. And
kind of launched that whole, summer, every year you're going to have that one summer blockbuster that's and nowadays you get, multiple. There's a lot of summer blockbusters. That's where everyone loads in all their action movies. It's the summertime, you just got to get them in there. But that's kind of where that came in. You probably wouldn't have movies like Jurassic Park and stuff like that that are just meant to be these huge spectacles if you didn't have Jaws. So we kind of owe it to that.
We also wouldn't have amazing franchises like Transformers.
I'm just going to let the pause hang there.
That was sarcasm.
I'm just going to let the pause hang out for a while.
That franchise needs to go die in a hole somewhere.
Yeah, so the bright spots for me were also the score. John Williams, in my heart, being such a diehard Star Wars fan, can do no wrong. But the score, and I thought, really, when I played that quote from the USS Indianapolis, that scene where they're kind of just hanging out, showing their scars, drinking a little bit, and then he goes into that whole weighted speech. That scene actually, really, really, grabs my attention more than any other thing in the movie. What do you think of that kind of scene?
That was easily my favorite scene in the movie.
Oh yeah,
that was the only one where I was like, these guys are getting real emotional with each other. They're opening up. They're getting close to each other and forming a bond here that you didn't have that sort of a bond between Quint and Brody and Hooper at the beginning of the movie.
Oh no. And you kind of sympathize with the crazy, Quint, because he is very, very crazy, and he still does things in the movie that are very, very you can't really defend him on, but that whole emotional scene where he's talking about he was just sitting in the water watching everyone that he knows die, like from sharks, you can sense like why he has like this deep hatred for these things.
Right.
What are your low points for the movie?
My lowest point for this movie is I don't know how many people read my review on Letterboxd. It was a very brief one, but the IQs of the characters in this film is ridiculously low and stupid. And
are we talking about the mayor? Are we talking about the mayor here?
He's part of it. Basically, I wrote out this little like fake conversation piece. It's not in the film, but it might as well have been the entire movie. Was Brody comes up and says, "Oh, there's a shark in the water." And Mayor says, "Screw it, open the beaches anyway." And all the tourists say, "Yay, time to swim." And then Bruce the shark comes up and says, "Oh, thanks for the food." And Mayor says, "I'm still not closing the beaches." Kevin always
slipping in that Disney reference.
Well, I mean, he was unofficially called Bruce then anyway.
Oh, it was? Okay. Well, then what do I know?
Spielberg named the shark Bruce when they were making the film. But then Bruce comes back again after the beaches are still open and says, "Yay, more food." And the mayor says, "Oh, yeah, maybe I should close the beaches." And then Brody says, "Duh."
Yeah, that's kind of like where I'm at on it too. Is like it's very, very unbelievable that you would have that kind of scene play out that same way. But my absolute least favorite part of the movie is this one woman. She's a very, very, very minor character. She's like in the, she's in like the town meeting and stuff. She's in the front row. It's that woman with the black hair. She's like, "I really hope they don't close down the beaches. I mean, I own a motel." And then you see her out on the beach a little while ago, and she has some other snarky comment. It's just like, I don't know why, but like every single time I saw that character, I was just like, okay, well, this movie got a lot worse.
It's just there's the moment on the beach, like when everyone's at the beach but no one's in the water.
Yeah,
they're all just chilling on the sand, and then the mayor walks up to the one guy and says, "Hey, go in the water so everyone else will go in the water too." And at that point, I'm looking at the mayor thinking, why do people need to go in the water? You've got all these people in the town already.
Yeah, I know. They're still hanging around. You're just like...
You're getting their money. You're not getting more money from them because they stepped foot in the water. And then one person goes in the water, everyone goes in the water, and then Bruce the Shark gets more food.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so we're going to close this out with final thoughts, or at least this review out with final thoughts, Kevin, on the movie. What's your overall score for it?
Considering the time it came out, I would give it around a 3.5, maybe a 4 out of 5. Because it is visually fantastic. The effects are great. The score is incredible. The acting it's okay. And
it's okay.
Yeah, I mean, the 3 leads are fine. Everyone else sucked.
Yeah, exactly.
But if it were to come out today, it wouldn't be great.
Well, I mean, like, look at all the other movies that kind of try to replicate what Jaws does today. You can't have a movie, even like with the CG and stuff like that, you can't have the movie like that anymore. It's just like, it's so unbelievable to a lot of people.
Like 47 Meters Down tried to do it this year, and it was an all right movie, but, it's not as effective as Jaws was.
But that's also not Spielberg, so maybe it's just Spielberg's magic that like kind of worked that out. But I'm thinking the kind of like the same score, 3 to 4 out of 5. I did like the movie. I did enjoy the movie. At points, I kind of like was like, okay, let's get to the shark part. Let's move this along. And but acting was, like you said, okay. Effects were really, really good for the time. And it was enjoyable.
Yeah, I understand why it's iconic. It has earned its place in cinema history, and it's definitely, a noteworthy film that any movie fan should see. It's just not a masterpiece like a lot of people say.
No. Okay, so moving on into, we both give it about 3 to 4 out of 5, and you can get our full thoughts on our Letterboxd. They'll be posted in the comments below. But moving on, next week, we have a fan request for a movie, Amadeus.
Yes,
So I have no clue what Amadeus is about. Well, I do a little bit, but Kevin, do you have any Like, what is your feeling about Amadeus going in?
I have done very little research on it. I'm trying to go in as blind as possible.
I am very, very blind right now.
But just knowing that my friend Liz, who suggested this to us, is a huge fan of it, I'm sold already. I'll see it. I look forward to it. But
I don't even know what genre this is, honestly.
I don't want to go in knowing any more than I do.
Yeah,
because I want this to be as blind as possible.
Yeah, me neither. This is going to be kind of like the true blind test, like us like not knowing anything about the movie.
Yeah, and my friend who suggested this to us, she's a huge movie fan as well. She's seen a lot of the classics, so the fact that she has absolutely just loved this film for many years, that's enough for me to be like, yeah, it's going to be good.
All right, so some quick closing remarks. Again, if you have a movie for us that you want us to watch, just request it on our Twitter, request it in the comments. We read all of them. I mean, it's pretty easy to read all of them. There's not that many right now. Request us movies. If we have it on our list, we'll shove it to the front of the list and we'll watch it for you. And, get into the conversation too. If you're following us on Twitter and stuff, get into the conversation, watch these movies with us. This is a book club. It's not just me and Kevin. You guys are involved too. Tell us your thoughts on all these movies that we're watching. If this is the first time for you viewing it, make a little 30-second clip of your thoughts, like audio, and post it onto Twitter. Post it somewhere and then just let us listen to it. This is all of our book club, not just me and Kevin's.
Right.
So Kevin, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter at KevWatchedAFilm, on Letterboxd at KevWatchesFilms, and I also just downloaded a new app called Stardust. My username on there will also be at KevWatchedAFilm. Stardust is an app that lets you give a little quick video reaction after seeing a film. So I'm going to start getting into that, so look forward to that as well.
All right, and you can follow me at twitter.com/OldSkoolMovieSK and Letterboxd/PatPat. It's my nickname. Just go with it. All right, Kev, that's it for us.
Yes, go watch movies.
Go watch movies.